Hey folks, today we're going to build a terrain in Gaea and import it into Unity game engine, texture it, and add vegetation. The inspiration for this are some generated images that I created with a Discord bot called Midjourney, and it's basically a fantasy world. And so this will be inspiration. I'm not trying to 100% match this, but we'll see what we come up with. Okay, first thing, I took those images that were in the browser and I loaded them into a program called PureRef, which is an open, available artistic tool that allows you to kind of build a dream board or an inspiration of a mosaic of different images that you want to drive your creative process. So the way I use it is I load up the images and then I'll just drag the window to the side because it stays on top out of the way so that I can work. For this beginning time, there are, if you are not familiar with Gaea, there are templates for you to create, rather, starting point or learn specific tips on how to create certain effects. I'm still pretty much a noob, but I'm going to just shoot with a blank map and we'll see what we come up with. Looking at the images, it's a relatively low, flat land, maybe some rolling hills, but then there are these sharp peaks that just sort of burst out, that dramatic effect, which I think works good in a game where you're building because you don't want to be dealing with too much slope. Um, So, and it has a Caribbean feel, but also it's a dense, lush green that my goal is more of a temperate uh, water scene. So, what I've learned working, one of the fantastic tools with this is the island node. And what it does is it gives you can draw your world with a pen or with this scalable brush. So right now it's assuming all water. So what you draw it becomes the landmass. So if I want there to be an island here, once you release the mouse, it actually has its own little algorithm for populating a realistic looking island from that. And as long as you keep a gap between, I failed there, but as long as you keep a gap between the purple, see, I'm even driving over the white, it'll shy away to create that waterway in between. So given this imagery, and again, it's inspiration, but I like the large central body of water, kind of Mediterranean feel, with some, neat little waterways, little channels. Now, in my mind, I wanted a mountainous area. I'd like there to be kind of three biomes, sort of a coastal rolling hill, and then forested hill, hillside mountains, and then the peaks, snowy peaks. So a colder climate toward the back. You can kind of imagine it on these here. So sparse mountains toward the front, and then it becomes more mountains towards the back. That's my goal. Okay. And to erase, you just switch this off if I want to create a larger, that central area. And you can tell the purple is very primitive, but it complicates it and gives it a believable quality. And I really appreciate that. For fun, I wanted to put just some islands, like barrier islands kind of thing. And there we go. Now up here toward the edge of the map, it's drawing all the way up to the map, and I don't really want to have to deal with that in Unity, so I'm going to pair this, kind of shave this back until it gives me water all the way around. Which of course I can manipulate in Unity. I'm just trying to make this few steps as possible. If you follow me closely, I'm typically someone that finds very efficient ways of getting 80% there, and that's to flip off my former self, which was a kind of a perfectionist that would never get anything done because it just had to be perfect. All right, let's see. All right, we're kind of getting there now. So you close out the editor, and this is the result. And we can change it later if we want. It's all procedural, so we can tweak anything we want at a later time. Okay, so I think I'm going to start. So one thing about the islands that it does is that it actually punches through and puts a 0 value in the water channels in between the islands. So certain nodes will give really crazy effects that aren't necessarily desired in my case. Right. So you're watching me fail trying to rotate this, which before it was middle mouse button with Alt, I thought. Oh, there we go. Yeah, left mouse button while holding Alt. Yeah, so you can see that's no good. And of course I can change some of these factors, but that's just something to be aware of. Delete. I'm going to change to a speed capture, just so you don't have to listen and watch all my mistakes in real time. Enjoy. Okay, for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to stop here and pull it into Unity and just see what we have to work with once it's all done. I'm not going to bother to texture it in Gaea, but we can always make tweaks to it. So to export, basically what I did is I created an island mask, which you saw. I narrated that, to draw the basic mountain shape, and the white is the islands and the black is the sea. Then I added some noise, basically used two textures and blended them to kind of give me just sort of a random pattern. Then I eroded it to give it an aged look. And then I combined it with a mountain kind of procedure here where I mask. A mask is similar to an island where you draw the areas you want the pattern, the terrain to show through. So everywhere in red is what shows based upon these other procedures. So a purlin is just noise, and then a range is it's typically used if there wasn't a mask. Range would be kind of a mountain. Let's see, it's sort of a rocky hills kind of thing. And to get kind of a mountainous, and it doesn't look that way here, but once I apply erosion and combine it, it starts to look more mountainous. I actually did a well, I thought it'd subtract, but this is minimum. Yeah, because I was trying to get the effect of these individual mountains. After I apply the erosion, it gives me that sharp peak that appears here and kind of an erosion. And it turns out to get a sharper peak, you have a really soft material, if you can see here. I've got 22 durations. If I double that, it makes it even more craggy, and that's a little too much. So we'll go back to 22. And if it was too soft, it gives it, if it's a hard stone, it gives it this effect, and that's not what I wanted either. So there we go. Then I combine that with the first set with my island pattern. I'm not quite sure why this is erroring. There we go. So what that did was the mountains will only affect the islands, and it does have some pull in between the islands, because I noticed my waterway up here kind of went away once I applied the sea, because my mountain was too close together. But that's okay. I can work with that. And once you have sea, you can erode the shoreline to give it kind of some low areas. That way, if you swim, you can get it on land. Then what the river does is it kind of erodes where the water would flow. That way I can easily put in a creek or a stream, and I'd be able to simulate that really easy with RAM auto material. I'll show that. And then the combining the river and the beach erosion gave me sort of this effect. It doesn't show the water, but it combines those two effects.